Everything is falling apart. The walls are closing in, and every choice Cassian Andor makes pushes him further from safety and deeper into the rebellion's fire. In Episode 10, Make It Stop, the pressure reaches a breaking point. Not just for the characters, but for us watching. This isn't just Star Wars. This is war, guilt, and sacrifice laid bare. Let's break it down. Episode 10 hits hard. It's not the kind of Star Wars you watch for lightsabers or space battles. Instead, this episode is slow, heavy, and emotional. It shows us people who are tired. Tired of running, tired of hiding, and tired of pretending they're okay. The title, Make It Stop, doesn't just describe the action. It describes how everyone in this world is feeling. We start with Cassian. He's on the move again, but not like before. He's not just trying to survive now. He's thinking. He's planning, and you can see it in his face. He's finally understanding that there's no going back. After everything he's done, after everyone he's lost, this isn't just about freedom. It's personal now. You can hear it in the silence, in the way he watches people, in how cautious he is with every word. He doesn't want to fight, but he knows he has to. Meanwhile, Luthen is in the shadows again, trying to keep all the pieces on the board, but his mask is starting to slip. His calm, clever voice now sounds sharp and bitter. Every move he makes is a risk, and the pressure is getting to him. In one scene, we see him watching a coded message play out. His eyes don't blink. You can tell he's afraid. Afraid that the people he's pushing will break before the rebellion is born. Luthen isn't just a rebel leader. He's a man burning from the inside, keeping it all hidden behind a coat and a lie. One of the most powerful moments in this episode is the silence. The quiet scenes. They're slow, yes, but they're doing something very smart. They're letting you feel the weight of this world. There's a scene where Cassian just walks through a town. No music, no talking, just footsteps and glances. And somehow, that's more intense than any fight scene, because we know what's coming. We know he can't run forever. Bix, meanwhile, is still suffering. Even though she's off-screen for most of the episode, her absence is loud. People ask about her. They worry. And we remember what she went through. That's one of the great things about Andor. Even when a character isn't in a scene, their story is still there, still being felt. It makes the world feel real. The Empire is also tightening its grip. Every scene shows more fear, more spies, more control. There's one moment where a character gets stopped at a checkpoint and says just the wrong thing. It's small, quick, but it reminds you that no one is safe here. Not even for a second. And that's what this episode does so well. It makes you feel that fear, that stress, like a quiet storm building in the background. The visual storytelling in Make It Stop is top tier. The colors are muted, grays, browns, and blues. Everything feels cold and heavy. The camera stays close, on the characters' faces, showing every tiny reaction. The sound design is low and tense. It's not flashy, but it's so effective. You can feel your own chest tighten when Cassian pauses before speaking, or when Luthen checks a signal. That's the brilliance of this episode. It's not about big action. It's about the feeling that something big is coming. One scene that really stands out is when Luthen receives a report that something has gone wrong. His voice doesn't change much, but his fingers twitch. He walks away slowly. And you realize this man has built a revolution on secrets, and one secret slipping could bring it all down. You start to wonder, how much longer can he keep this up? Toward the end of the episode, Cassian finds himself at a crossroads. He gets a chance to disappear again, to vanish into another false name, another quiet corner of the galaxy. But this time, he doesn't run. He hesitates. And that pause says everything, because now, Cassian isn't just reacting, he's choosing. That's a turning point for him. From this moment, his fight isn't just survival. It's purpose. The writing in this episode is sharp and subtle. No one says exactly what they mean, but you can still feel what they're thinking. That makes every conversation feel like a chess match, full of risk, fear, and calculation. Especially the scene between Luthen and one of his contacts. They don't trust each other. They barely speak, but every word is loaded. And the tension is higher than any blaster fight. By the time the episode ends, You don't feel excited. You feel drained. And that's the point. The rebellion isn't romantic here. It's dirty. It's full of pain and loss. And in this world, the heroes don't get medals, they get scars. Cassian's journey is only just beginning, but already it's clear. This will cost him everything. The walls are getting smaller, and the truth is getting harder to hide. Episode 11, Who Else Knows, is all about secrets, who keeps them, who breaks under them, and what happens when they leak. This episode doesn't explode with action. It simmers. And that slow rising pressure is what makes it so powerful. You feel it in every quiet stare and every shaky breath. Everyone in this story is looking over their shoulder. Everyone is waiting for something to snap. The episode opens with whispers, literally. We see rebel operatives passing information, through coded messages and silent nods. This isn't just spy work, it's survival. The rebellion is trying to grow, but the Empire is already inside the cracks, listening, watching. We get the sense that one wrong word could collapse everything. And the question that drives this whole episode is simple. Who else knows what? Cassian is more alert than ever. He's no longer just reacting, he's reading people. Watching for signs. It's like his eyes are sharper now. He's learned that information can be more dangerous than any weapon. In one scene, he quietly listens to a conversation from the shadows. He says nothing. He just listens. But it tells us everything. He's becoming a spy. And it suits him. We also check back in with Bix. She's damaged. Physically, emotionally, mentally. But she's still standing. Barely. The trauma she went through earlier in the season has changed her. And this episode shows how the Empire leaves more than scars. It leaves silence. There's a scene where she's asked a simple question. She pauses. Her mouth opens. But the words don't come. It's heartbreaking. And it shows us that the fight against the Empire isn't just happening in space. It's happening inside people. Mon Mothma's storyline in this episode is especially intense. She's walking a tightrope between political diplomacy and rebellion. And now, that rope is fraying. Her cousin Vel warns her that time is running out, that her careful games of secrecy and coded phrases aren't enough anymore. And Mon, for the first time, starts to show cracks. There's a brilliant scene where she's at a public event, smiling, talking politics. But you can see it in her eyes. She's breaking inside. She's afraid. And she should be. The Empire is sniffing around her finances. One mistake, and she's done. What's interesting here is that every character is holding something back. No one is speaking freely anymore. Even allies are doubting each other. That's what the Empire does best. It poisons trust. It turns rebels into suspects, friends into spies. In one powerful moment, a rebel contact panics and blurts out too much. It's a mistake. A fatal one. And it reminds us. In this world, knowing too much can get you killed. And sometimes, even asking the wrong question can cost everything. Cyril Karn makes another return in this episode, and his obsession with Jedha and the Empire continues to grow. He's not just a failed officer anymore. He's a wild card. And that's what makes him dangerous. He thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's desperate to matter. He's clinging to order, to purpose, and that makes him unpredictable. There's a moment where he follows a lead on Cassian, but it's not clean or professional. It's messy, emotional. He's cracking, and that makes you wonder, who will he betray next? Dedra Meero, meanwhile, is at her most dangerous. She's calm, composed, terrifying. She wants Cassian caught. She wants control. But now even she is being watched. The Empire doesn't reward loyalty. It demands results. Her position is shaky, and the pressure is creeping in. We see her sitting in a dark room, staring at reports. Her fingers twitch, her jaw clenches. She's losing patience, and when she does, people suffer. The writing in Who Else Knows is razor sharp. Every scene feels like a chess game, where one wrong move means death. Characters speak in codes, half-truths, and glances, and that makes it even more intense. You're constantly trying to read between the lines, to figure out what's being said without being said, and the tension is everywhere. The sound design in this episode deserves serious credit. Instead of big orchestral scores, we hear the hum of tech, the buzz of comlinks, the quiet thud of boots in hallways. It's not just background noise, it's atmosphere. It puts you in the room. It makes every space feel unsafe. And it matches the emotional state of the characters. Paranoid, tense, on edge. One standout scene comes when Luthen meets with an informant deep inside the ISB. It's dark. Rain pours. They speak under cover, afraid of being seen. And what we learn is chilling. The Empire is onto them. They're setting traps. And now the rebels have to decide. Pull out and save themselves, or walk into the fire and keep fighting. Luthen doesn't flinch. He's already chosen his path, but you can see it in his face. He knows how many will die. By the end of the episode, we're left with more questions than answers. Who knows what? Who's lying? Who will break next? But one thing is clear. The noose is tightening. And not just around Cassian. Around everyone. This isn't just about a single rebel anymore. It's about an entire movement teetering on the edge of exposure. One whisper away from collapse. And the scary part? That might be exactly what sparks the real rebellion. This is the moment it all leads to. The tension, the secrets, the fear. It all comes crashing together in episode 12. Jedha, Kyber, Erso. And this isn't just a season finale. It's a statement, a warning, and a torch being passed toward Rogue One. Everything in this episode is loaded with history, sacrifice, and fate. It's not loud. It's not flashy. But it hits hard. Because deep down, we already know how this ends. And somehow, that makes every moment even more powerful. The episode opens on Jedha, the holy planet we first saw in Rogue One. But here, it's not a battlefield yet. It's a pressure cooker. Pilgrims, smugglers, spies, they're all here. And so is something far more dangerous. Kyber, the crystal that powers the Death Star. The Empire is here too, quietly moving people and resources, pretending it's just research. But anyone paying attention knows what's really going on. And that includes Cassian. Cassian finally arrives on Jedha, not as a refugee, not as a hired gun, but as something more. Something closer to the rebel he'll soon become. He's watching, listening, calculating. There's a moment early in the episode where he blends into a crowd of pilgrims, looking at a shrine built from shattered Kyber. He doesn't speak, but we can tell. This place means something. Not just to the galaxy, but to him. It's a turning point. And then there's the name. Erso. It comes quietly, in a hushed conversation between two rebel operatives. A whisper, about a scientist, a father, a man close to something dangerous. That's when the pieces start falling into place. Cassian doesn't know it yet, but the mission that will define his life has already begun. The Erso name is like a fuse, and we're watching it burn in slow motion. Meanwhile, Luthen is spiraling. His network is falling apart. His spies are compromised. And the cost of every decision is rising. But he's not pulling back. He's pushing harder. There's a scene where he delivers a speech, not to a crowd, but to a single contact. It's quiet, intense. He talks about fire, about sacrifice, about building a future he'll never see. And you realize he's already accepted his death. Luthen doesn't want to win. He wants the rebellion to survive, even if he doesn't. The sound in this episode is haunting. The score is stripped down, just low, eerie tones, the kind that make your skin crawl. And then, during key moments, the music swells. Not with hope, but with warning. It's as if the soundtrack itself knows what's coming. That's what makes this episode feel so heavy. Every smile feels temporary. Every plan feels doomed, and yet they keep going. Because they have to. Mon Mothma gets one final brutal test. The Empire is closing in on her finances. Her daughter's engagement, something she never wanted, becomes the price for hiding rebel money. It's heartbreaking. Not just because she agrees to it, but because she does it without breaking down. Her strength isn't loud. It's quiet, cold, unflinching. This is what rebellion looks like when you fight with a pen, not a blaster. The visuals in this finale are stunning. We see star destroyers floating over Jedha's ancient ruins. We see Kyber being shipped in dark crates, hidden under Empire banners. We see Cassian walking through old temples, his face half in shadow. Every frame tells a story. Every detail matters. The past and the future are layered together here. Faith and fear, legacy and rebellion. This is Star Wars at its most grounded and at its most symbolic. One of the most powerful scenes in the episode is when Cassian watches a group of children being taught about the Force. They're learning about balance, energy, belief. But they're also surrounded by stormtroopers. It's a quiet reminder that even faith isn't safe in this world. That even innocence is being watched. And that's when it hits. This show isn't just about how the rebellion starts. It's about why it has to start. Because if nothing is sacred, not life, not love, not belief, then rebellion isn't a choice. It's the only option left. In the final stretch of the episode, Cassian meets with a key rebel leader. The name isn't said outright, but fans of Rogue One will recognize the tone, the manner, the cause. It's clear now. Cassian is being pulled into something bigger than himself. The missions will get darker, the lies will grow deeper, and the man he's becoming will soon do things he can never take back. But here, in this quiet moment, he chooses the path. Not because it's safe, but because it's right. The episode ends with a single shot, Cassian walking away from Jedha, the wind kicking up dust behind him. His face is set, not angry, not afraid, just ready. And that's the story of Andor. A man who didn't want to fight, but who fought anyway. A man who gave everything, not for victory but for a chance, a spark. As the credits roll, there's no explosion, no cheers, just silence. And in that silence, the weight of everything lands. The rebellion has truly begun. By the end of Andor Season 2, one thing is crystal clear. This is not just a Star Wars story. This is a human story. A political story. A story about the cost of freedom and the people who have to lose everything to build something better. And in this final section, we need to step back and look at what makes this season not just great television, but one of the boldest things Star Wars has ever done. Let's start with Cassian Andor. When we first met him, he was a survivor, a drifter, someone trying to stay alive in a system that wants him erased. But by the end of this season, Cassian becomes something far more dangerous, a believer. And what's powerful is that we never see a dramatic switch. His transformation happens in quiet moments, in pauses, in choices. He doesn't scream, "I'm joining the rebellion." He just keeps walking into danger, keeps standing up when others fall, and slowly, step by step, he becomes the man we'll follow into Rogue One. Cassian's arc isn't heroic in the traditional sense. He doesn't want to lead. He doesn't want to fight. But he understands, more than anyone, that silence is not survival, it's surrender. He learns to use his pain, to weaponize his guilt, and by the end, he knows what he's fighting for. Not glory, not revenge, but justice. That quiet, aching justice that drives real revolutions. Then there's Luthen Rael. Arguably the most fascinating new character in the Star Wars universe. He's not a Jedi. He's not a soldier. He's a puppet master. Cold, brilliant, broken. Every time he speaks, you feel like you're hearing the truth behind every rebellion we've seen before. Luthen knows he's a ghost. He knows he'll never be remembered. And that's what makes him so terrifying. He's not fighting for himself. He's fighting for people who don't even know he exists. And in doing so, he becomes the backbone of the resistance. One of his best lines from Season 2 still echoes, "I burn my life to make a sunrise I'll never see." That line alone sums up the soul of the show. Sacrifice isn't just part of rebellion. It is the rebellion. Mon Mothma's journey is just as painful and necessary. She's a reminder that not all war is fought with blasters. Hers is a war of diplomacy, of paperwork, of forced smiles and moral compromises. And in Season 2, we see her lowest moment, giving up her daughter's future to protect a cause. It's quiet, horrific, and real. Mon isn't a freedom fighter with a gun. She's a mother and a leader losing everything behind a velvet curtain. And it's a masterclass in subtle performance. Bix, Vel, Cinta, Brasso, Dedra, Cyril, each of these side characters has their own moment to shine. Andor treats its entire cast with care, showing how rebellion touches every life. Bix's trauma is never forgotten. Vel and Cinta's love is strained but real. Brasso's loyalty is quiet but unshakable. Cyril's obsession grows more disturbing. By the hour, and Dedra, controlled, ambitious, cruel, becomes a symbol of how evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like a uniform and a plan. Visually, Season 2 is astonishing. There's no overuse of green screens, no overstuffed CGI. The show feels real. Cities have texture, rooms have weight. Costumes are worn and practical. When characters walk through a space, it's not a set, it's a place. The use of shadows, especially in Luthen's scenes, gives every moment a sense of secrecy and danger. The color palette is muted, letting the emotions do the talking. And the cinematography is patient. It lingers. It trusts the viewer to sit in the tension. The sound design deserves its own praise. The hum of a ship, the silence of a closed door, the breathing of someone trying not to cry. It all creates a world that feels alive. And the score? It doesn't just support scenes. It speaks. The music of Andor isn't trying to be iconic. It's trying to be honest. And it succeeds. And now, the big question. What does this season mean for Star Wars? It means the galaxy is bigger than Jedi and Sith. It means hope can come from ordinary people. It means storytelling in this universe can be quiet, grounded, raw, and still unforgettable. Andor Season 2 gives us something the franchise has rarely dared to explore. The gray space between good and evil. The small decisions that lead to big change. The humans behind the heroism. Some fans might say this show is too slow. Too serious. Not Star Wars enough. But that's the point. This isn't about nostalgia. It's about growth. It's about how revolutions are messy. How freedom is never given. It's taken. Slowly. Painfully. With blood and sacrifice. Andor dares to make you uncomfortable. To make you think. And that makes it essential. In the final shot of the season, Cassian walks into shadow, alone.